Hi, do you have trouble tuning your drums? Do your drums sound like this? Do you want your drum set to sound like the great Joe Morello's or Art Blakey's? Well, I have the solution for you. Hello everyone, I'm Mario DeSanto, and today we're going to talk about my foolproof plan to tuning your drum set. It is so simple, your half-deaf grandma could do it without thinking twice. I'm telling you, it's so simple. Now, if you're like me, you've probably watched 100 YouTube videos all promising you the secrets of the world and how you tune your drums and how you're going to make them sound the best they can possibly be. They're going to sell you all these gadgets, this, and that, drum dials you put on your drum head. None of that's necessary. I'm telling you, this is so simple. You're going to be able to do it in no time. Okay, so the secret sauce to this method really lies within your fingertips here. If by the end of this you don't have a little bit of a blister, you're probably doing it wrong. So what you're going to do at first, like any drum tuning lesson is going to teach you, is you're going to want to figure tight everything around the drum first, right? So just like that, you go around and slowly keep finger tighten until they all got an even tension on the rods. You always want to alternate sides in a star-like pattern like they always say. None of this is changing from the usual way. Now, helps if your fingers aren't sweaty, which mine are. It's making things a little difficult. So now, everything here is finger tight. Okay, most drum tuning tutorials end right there with the finger tightening. They immediately go to the drum tuning keys or some gadget that they have, right? For this method, we're going to continue the finger tightening. Now, what we're going to do is use our body weight, press down to where the lugs are, and you're going to keep using your fingers. And as you push this down, it's going to give a little bit more room in the drum head to give you a little tighter. And you're going to gradually increase your weight as you go. So this usually helps if you're on your feet and you're moving around the drum. But today, because this is on video, I'm not able to do that. Now, you still want to alternate sides. It's not super critical as long as you're going at very small increments. And the slower you go, usually the better, but you could go pretty quickly if you need to. So every round I go, slowly adding more weight. I'm probably going to stand up pretty soon to get more leverage. And once it gets really hard, at this point you could just go in a circle. You don't have to keep crisscrossing. Okay, now I think I need to stand up. Now, when it gets to this point, it helps if you give a short little pulse of a strength. You could get even a little more. Basically, the point of this technique is to get it as tight as you can with your fingers, with all your strength you have, and doing these really little increments. And by using your fingertips sort of has like a torque limiter, like similar to a gadget like this where you set a preset tension, you start to slip at a certain strength, and it gives you a very even distribution of tension, I think, and I think it's far better than, trying to be equal with your turns like they always tell you, like, oh, only do half turn. I don't know. It gets too much after a while. This method, you don't have to think about all that. No think, just do. Okay, that is as tight as I could possibly get it with my fingers and using all my weight. I'm out of breath. Depending on the drum, there's a possibility you could stop there. Like on my toms, sometimes that's all I need. I don't need to go with the drum tool afterwards. But that happens maybe half the time, depending on the drum. Like a snare drum, you're definitely going to need to really crank it up to get that snare, that crisp snare sound. On my bass drum, since I've done it so many times, I kind of know where I want it to be, and I usually do 1/2 turn. And I'm going to do the same exact method to the batter side. You always see a lot of people in drum tuning tutorial videos tell you to go to each slug like this and to see which one's slightly flat and compare it to all reference slug and this and that. I think that's black magic. I have never been able to tell a difference ever by doing that. There are so many overtones, especially when your drum heads are like 4 years old like mine, which I'm sure yours are. That's why you're watching this video. Like, it ain't happening. Time to do the batter head now. Now, one extremely crucial detail you need to pay attention to when you're tuning, is the room you're in. You'd be surprised. I would say probably about 75% of a drum kit's sound comes from the room it's in. Well, and the player, but I mean objectively, player not included. The room is extremely important. And that being said, now you could test this at home, and I think it's actually great practice, but if you go into each different room in your house and tune your drum to that room, you're gonna want different tensions depending on the acoustics of the room. Like, my main recording room is this huge open room. I mean, there's no closed doors, it's a huge space, and it's impossible to get a good drum sound just because it's so roomy. And it's funny, when I bring my bass drum into like a small bedroom, it sounds so different. It's crazy. Now, points like this, I like to set the drum up completely and test it out in the room and see how everything's working. Right now, everything on the batter side is finger tight, while on the resonance side, I got 1/2 turn on each lug. And I just know from experience in this room, it's not going to sound that great. So I'll do that now. Yeah, this still needs tweaking for sure. So yeah, I didn't think that sounded good. So I'm gonna match the 1/2 turn and see how it goes. Now, depending on the drum, the amount of turn you're gonna increment in is gonna be different. Like on a bass drum, I like to start with 1/2 turns and then tweak it with 1/4 turns. On a snare though, I usually start with, depending on the snare drum, I don't know, 1.5 full turns at first, so it really depends. Alright, now I got it tuned equally on both the batter and the resonance side. Oh yeah. I don't know if you can tell, but it sounds good in here. I think I'm going to keep that. Alright, so that's pretty much all you need to know about this method. Just remember, use your fingers as a torque limiter to feel how much tension you're putting on each rod. Remember to keep each tension rod as close as possible to each other, to the same tension. Like I also said, always tune to the room. The room is extremely important to how you're tuning your drum set. And before you go, I'm going to play like a quick excerpt from a demo I did a couple months back. And this drum set was tuned that way and recorded with just one single SM57 right above head. And there's a lot of compression on the drum track, and there's other instrumentation as well, but it'll give you an idea of how a drum set tuned this way in a big, really reverby room would sound. Thanks everyone for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know. Or if you have any ideas for a future video, I'm all ears. Thank you.